Hi, okay, there. Oh, hi, good evening. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, I can hear you then.
Uh, is it clear?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, let's give it a few minutes before we start. Let's see if more people will join, okay? So, okay, so maybe 1 or 2 minutes, okay? Let me share my screen. Oh, wait, let me do that again. I forgot. Okay, let's wait a few minutes and see if more people will come. Okay, there. Okay. Hi. Oh, yeah. Hi, Rex. Yeah, let's just give it a few minutes and see if more people will come. But while doing that, I would like to introduce us. So let me, yeah, I'll share so you guys can see us. Sorry, it's been a while since I did this, so I'm kind of okay. Let's stop that for now. Okay, so okay, good evening, guys. So while we're waiting for to see if more people will join or come, I would like to introduce who we are, and I would like to greet you guys. Good evening. So here I am. I'm Len. So I will be talking tonight, and we are the member-supported Pure Land Buddhism Center of the Philippines, and we've been doing this online talks since 2015 or so. So yeah, and but before the pandemic, we also had a lot of face-to-face lectures. We also had a lot of meetups before, but for now, I think this is okay. Online is okay. This is good. So yeah, and hopefully we can do a lot of those face to face and uh, meetups soon. Okay, and tonight here with us is another person who's been doing a lot of sharing, more extensive and more than I do, sharing of Pure Land Buddhist teachings. His name is Kevin. He's my friend. So, Kevs, could you say a few words to everyone?
Hi, Len. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Kevin, and I give lectures on the basics of Buddhism.
Yeah.
And we have a schedule that we send out every regularly on our Facebook page or group. So if you're not there yet, please you're welcome to join. And yeah, if you're also interested in having one-on-one sessions with a Buddhist teacher, we also do that. We also give out the basics. So thank you, Len, and
Uh,
welcome.
Hi, thanks, Kev. So, yeah, thank you very much, Kev. Sorry, I'm looking at my código. So, yeah, that's Kevin, and I'm Len. So, we can start now, and maybe Kevin could paste later the link for our web Facebook page. So, for those who are not yet there, please join us. Okay. So, let's start. I will share my screen. One moment. Okay, there. So, tonight, we will read a story from this book, Something You Forgot Along the Way. And okay, wait, let me read this. Rex said, I'm Rex from Southern Quezon Province, and I'm former INC member, but I'm interested in Buddhism. Oh, nice to have you, Rex. Okay, and thanks for your introduction. Okay, let's start. And is my audio okay? Everyone can hear me well? If you cannot, please just type it in the chat box, okay? So tonight we'll read a story from this book, and I need two volunteers to please read the story. this is the story we're going to read. First, master the basics. And I need someone to read this first part, the left part, and then someone will read the rest later. Can I have a volunteer? Hello?
I can start then if you want.
Oh, yes, Kevin. Thank you.
Yes. So first, master the basics. A youth came to the home of a famous Italian master to beg for voice instruction, only to be curtly refused. Give it up, said the master. The way of being a musician is hard. Earnestly, the youth replied, I will endure any suffering. Please teach me. On the condition that he never utter a word of complaint, however difficult his life became, the musician finally consented to take him on. That very day, the youth moved in and commenced to study voice in between managing all the household cooking, cleaning, and laundry. For the entire first year, he practiced nothing but scales. The second year was more of the same. He hoped that in the third year, he might be allowed to work on something else. But again, it was scales, scales, and more scales. When the fourth year ended the same way, the youth finally expressed dissatisfaction. Sir, could you possibly teach me something else? The master dismissed the words with a sharp rebuke.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And can I have another volunteer to please read the rest of the story?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Who is this? Ivan?
This is Ivan. Yes.
Okay, yes,
Hello.
Ivan. Good evening. Could you
Hello.
please read?
Good good evening.
Okay.
In his fifth year, the student learned the chromatic scale and how to sing sotto voice. At the end of the year, the master told him, "You may go now. I have no more to teach you. Now you can sing in front of anyone without fear." The youth's name was Gaetano Majorano, 1710-83. Under the stage name Caffarelli, he went on to become the greatest Italian opera singer of the 18th century. It's wrong to look down on mere scales and exercises. The master poured his soul into teaching them to the prodigy for 5 years, precisely because he knew once he has mastered the basics, he would be able to sing any music, however difficult. In any endeavor, mastering the basics is essential.
Okay, thank you so much, Kevin and Ivan, for reading the story. And I would just like to read something someone wrote in the chat earlier. Okay, one moment, please. So Gabriel de Guzman said, "Hi, good evening. I'm Gabe, a curious student from St. Mary's." Hi, good evening, Gabriel. Thank you for introducing yourself. And everyone else, if you would like to introduce yourself in the chat, please do so so we would know each other, okay? Okay, so yes, that's the story for tonight. And a quick recap of the story. It started with this young man having a dream of being an opera singer. He approached a famous master to take him in and teach him. At the outset, the master rejected him rather quickly, right? But because of his pleading, the master finally agreed to take him in on the condition that he would never utter a word of complaint, no matter how hard things get, right? So finally, the young man moved in and started his training. From first to fourth year, he was only taught scales. He eventually got tired of it and asked the master to teach him something else. But he was shut down by the master, of course, right? So, but On the fifth year, he learned the chromatic scale and sotto voce. I don't know. I don't know how to say it properly, but something along that line. If someone knows how to say it, please help me. And yeah, from there the master said he has nothing more to teach him, and he can now sing in front of anyone without any fear. And this man turned out to be the greatest opera singer of the 18th century, Gaetano Majorano. His stage name is Caffarelli. So yeah, that's a quick recap of our story for tonight. And this is Caffarelli's story. However, I have a question for you guys. Having read this story, do you agree with what the story conveys? That we have to thoroughly master the basics before moving to something more advanced? So, yes, I agree. We need to learn and practice the basics thoroughly, so the next step will be easier to handle. Or B, no, I disagree. We only need the essential part of the basics and we can pretty much navigate the next step. So, which one do you agree with? Yes or no? You can type your answers in the chat box or speak if you can or if you want. You may also place the reason why you chose that answer. Okay, let me see. We have one here, two.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, who is this? Sorry.
I'm Alvin Vitales from Navotas,
Hi, Alvin.
Philippines. Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good evening. My best answer is we should explore the basics, ma'am.
Okay, yes, that's good. So this is your
Because
answer.
ma'am, in my own idea, we cannot move forward if we don't know what is the main foundation of the topic, ma'am, of the
Okay.
principle.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much for your answer, Alvin. And I think everyone else
You're welcome,
agrees.
ma'am.
Okay. And I think everyone else agrees with you. So looking at the chat box, everyone from Gabriel to Kevin, Ivan, and Chris, everyone answered A. So everyone, uh, most of you agree that we need to learn and practice the basics thoroughly. So the next step will be easier to handle. So thank you so much for your answers. If anyone else would still like to answer, you can go ahead and do so. So, regardless if you answered yes or no, it is apparent that we have to pass through the basics before we can start advancing on something, right? I actually I tend to be drawn to letter B actually because I feel like sometimes I only need a bit of what the basics are, and then the next steps are more essential to honing whatever skill I want to polish. So yeah, or maybe I'm just a bit lazy, that's why. But but then thinking about it while I was preparing for this talk, um that kind of thinking that I have is probably not sensible because looking back at it now, I've had many instances where I skimmed through the basics to move to the more advanced or mid-level part of whatever undertaking I was doing at that moment, only to find myself going back to the basics midway. So yeah, I think A is the more sensible answer here. So that's just in my experience. Rushing through the basics, I ended up having half baked understanding of whatever endeavor it was I was learning. Okay. So in today's world, everything is fast paced, right? So it's like we're always in a hurry, hurrying to get here and there, hurrying to finish this and that. And after each thing, or at some point, we may ask ourselves, what is the point of all that hurrying, right? And of course, there are always the obvious answers. I have a deadline. I might get a better mark if I submit in advance, or I can do other stuff more when I work fast. So there's a long list of reasons why we want to do things quickly, right? But indeed, in the present time, we have accomplished a lot in shorter periods, and we have learned a lot too, especially now that we have the aid of technology. But the question is, have we really mastered anything? It seems like more and more of us have become a jack of all trades, master of none kind of people, opting to acquire many skills, right, with mediocre proficiency rather than being an expert on it. But actually, that is, yeah, there's something wrong with what I said there, because that is not to say that none of us has mastered anything, right? I know for a fact that a lot of you here are already masters of your own craft. But despite this, the aspiration for acquiring as many skills as possible is alluring to most of us, right? Even though we just become second rate or mediocre at it. So it looks like we put more importance on the quantity of things we've done over the quality of each of these things. So it doesn't matter if we've only done it 3 times or so. If we've done it, we put it in our credentials. It's almost as if we just like accumulating the titles, and never mind if we have second rate skills of it. And then we parade it to everyone, we because having this plethora of labels makes us feel accomplished. But trying a lot of things is not bad in itself, and we are not belittling the people who do. Okay, maybe most of us do this. I know I do too sometimes. But what we're saying here is that we shouldn't set aside the opportunity for excellence over the next new excitement. And what do I mean by that? um, isn't it sometimes that we're pursuing an endeavor for, let's say, how many months or many years, and then all of a sudden the new hype or there's a new thing that is going around and you would like to try that. So what happens is we drop the original thing that we've been pursuing without even mastering it or without even being proficient in it, and we move on to the next hype, to the next new thing. So yeah, that's what I meant when I said that we shouldn't set aside the opportunity for excellence over the next new excitement. And another observation is that there is a certain dislike to doing the basics. Have you noticed this too? Maybe this stems out from our desire for quick fixes, to be someone at something fast so we can move on to the next thing. So this is just an observation on my part. Okay. So yeah, so we have this dislike for doing the basic things. And I want to share one instance I had back in college. Um, oh, before I go to that, do you have any questions, by the way? Sorry, I forgot to ask. If something comes into your mind, or you want to say something, you want, or you have a question, just type it in the chat box and then we'll answer it later. Okay. 3, 2, 1. No questions. Okay. I'll continue. So going back, I want to share one instance I had back in college. I remember our computer subject teacher back then. He only taught us flow charting for 1 semester. Okay. And everyone is starting to get impatient. One lesson after another, it's always flow charting, the quizzes, the exams, everything. We would like to start working on a programming language already. That was everyone's complaint. And then when the semester was over, we finally moved to programming. And that's when we realized how invaluable learning flowcharting was. Yeah. Have we hastened that part, we may have had difficulty with programming. But I cannot say that we have become masters after that single semester, but we did acquire the basic skill set which is developing the logic in making programs. So that enabled us to write brief and better codes. And that is just because our professor spent a lot of time teaching us flow charting until he is sure that everybody got the hang of it. So if he didn't do that and we jumped quickly to coding, we may have had written messy and large size programs. So yeah, this story made me realize how similar it was to my college experience with flow charting. And I would like, so having shared that, I want to ask everyone, why do you think many of us don't like or don't enjoy doing the basics so much? Again, please type your answers in the chat box, or you may speak if you can and if you want. Okay. So why do you think many of us don't like or don't enjoy doing the basics so much? Any idea? Or based on your own experience? Arrogance. Oh, Ria said arrogance. Uh-huh. Yes, that could be right. Because we feel bored. Yes, correct, Alvin. And yeah, I want to go back to Ria's answer, arrogance. So, yes, I agree with this one because maybe we think doing the basics or doing the simple tasks is small, something like that. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's arrogance. And Gabriel said because starting in the basics makes us feel belittled. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think this is arrogance too, right? So we feel like we're better than that. Oh, why am I doing this? I understand better. I can do better. Yeah. Impatient. Yes. Chris said impatient. Yes, that is true too. We become impatient when we do simple tasks over and over again, right? We want to do the big things, the things where people get impressed, right? Where people notice us, I think. So yes, all your answers are great. Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, you can still add if you have some, but we will continue. And thank you so much for everyone who answered. So and all your answers were great. One more. Ivan, I love basics and I try to recap basics not only to me and those connected to me. Oh yeah, we have a rare one. Okay, good for you, Ivan. And Ronnie said depends on the type personality types. Oh, okay, yes, I agree. There are people who are maybe more attuned to doing the basics, and there are other people who would like to do the more advanced things more, and also maybe talent. Some people are born like, we have to admit that some people are born gifted, and they kind of can just skip the basics, the prodigies, yeah, the talented ones. So yeah, I think those ones would eventually get bored easily with doing the basics. Okay, so yes, thank you so much for your answers. They're all great. Some time ago, someone gave me this answer, and like your answers, I think his answer is great too. So he said this, and it's similar to most of your answers actually. To master the basics, we have to do the simple work over and over again, and people dislike doing simple work, right? So yeah, it's the same as what you answered, similar to what you answered. So this answer got me thinking. So if this is the problem, okay, one more time. Okay, Alvin says basic is the foundation of knowledge. That is true. It's the basics is invaluable. Okay, and Kevin says similar to Chris's answer, impatient. Yes, that is true too. Yeah, we tend to get impatient over the simple task. Okay, thank you so much, guys. So, yes, so this answer and your answers actually got me thinking, how do we deal with repetitive work that is usually done when doing the basics, right? Doing the simple work over and over again. And typically, one moment, okay. Typically, doing repetitive tasks every day results to boredom, like like what many of you said, which can be tough mentally and physically. And because of that, it's easy to commit errors or mistakes. So, how do we deal with repetitive work? Make it easier or bearable or even enjoyable like Ivan does. He enjoys it at some instance. So, here are just a few pointers I came up with at the end of it. If you could think of something else, we can add that to the list, okay? So, how to deal with repetitive work. So, the first one is improve your environment. So, what do we mean by this? There are several things you could do to improve your environment or your place of work. So, your area of work should be clutter free, as this can distract you easily from work. And second is have all the essentials you need within reach. So, what do you need? Your pen, your papers, or whatever it is you need for your work, your water, yeah, within reach, tissue, whatever it is you need. Okay. And third is nice lighting. So this is something I, this is a preference for me. Yeah, I cannot work properly if the lighting is not great, good, or it doesn't have to be so bright, but according to my liking. So that's important. And music, of course. So I think many of us listen to music when we work or when we do something. And I like to know, guys, what kind of music do you listen to when you work? So please type it in the chat box. Maybe I'll check it out later. I tend to listen to fast classical music when I work, so it makes me focus. I think, or I believe that it makes me focus. So yeah. So this is the first one. First pointer. Uh, improve your environment. Let me just drink water. Excuse me. Okay, thank you. So the second pointer is hydrate, like what I just did. Okay, let me see. Stressful overpopulation urban environments. Yeah, that's unfortunate, Rex, really. Um if it's unavoidable for you to, yeah, to not be in that kind of work environment, then maybe the other pointers will help you, especially music. Maybe that could help you ease the stress of the environment you're working in. And Kevin says indie music works for me. I do love indie music too. I have a lot of indie music. Enya's music works. Yeah, I love Enya. Enya's great. Excuse me. Yeah, so excuse me. So thank you so much for your answer, guys. Okay, so we go to the second pointer, hydrate. Yes, this is so important. So doing the same thing over and over again can easily give us a headache. So being hydrated helps us feel more comfortable and can probably help at least lessen the headache. And yeah, if you notice, water keeps you awake too, right? So when I wake up in the morning, the very first thing I do is drink a glass and a half of water, and I'm instantly awake. So yes, it's important to hydrate to keep you awake and to refrain or to prevent you from having her headaches doing your repetitive work. And then number three, automate things you can. So for this one, you can do this for repetitive computer tasks, right? Maybe there is an app that can help, or if you can write programs, much better. Or for example, if it's an email that you have to do over and or send to many people at a certain period or a certain time, then you can, yeah, just automate it, do box, and then yeah, so the computer will just schedule the sending, and that is a load off your mind, right? You don't have to worry about that anymore. So yeah, you can do that, automate things that you can. And then, of course, another very important thing, breaks and downtime. So, what do you do during your breaks and downtime? There are a lot, right? So, but for this, talk, I came up with this. Do anything that has nothing to do with your task. Watch, oh, sorry, watch something, I mean, something. Watch something, check social media. Yeah, take that time to check whatever you want to check, your anything. Okay. Walk or do some stretchings. That is good too. Or some power nap. Okay. Like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. That's great. Or play if that's your thing, right? If you like playing video games or playing actual games, physical games, maybe just a quick game of table tennis if you have that. So yeah, anything to just break the monotony of repetitive work. And last, keep your goal in mind. So why are you doing this repetitive work, right? Keep in mind why you are doing this repetitive task. It gets the work done and it helps you improve so you can do more advanced stuff later. Okay. So yeah, always keep that goal in mind. So when you are, you're becoming bored or you want to give up doing the repetitive work. Now it's part of the process of improving, right? So disliking the basics may also have to do with how we see progress. Oh, do you have any questions about this, by the way? Okay, no questions. Three, two, one. Okay, if there are no questions, I'll proceed to the next part. But if there's anything in your mind you want to say, just type it in the chat box. So disliking the basics, as I was saying, may also have something to do with how we see progress. We usually see progress. Okay, one. No questions. Okay, thank you, Alvin. Okay, so we usually see progress as something linear, a straight line, right? Like the image here at the left side. Instead of seeing it as a circle that gets bigger, like the image here on the right, right? Because we see progress as something linear, we won't feel we are advancing unless we move to the next step. When we talk about success, we always hear the word ladder too, right? You must climb the ladder to success, something like that. And this is true. But taking time on each part of the ladder, especially the most bottom part, shouldn't make us feel like failures. The amount of time spent on each step is also part of your progress or success. So instead of looking at progress as a series of steps we have to surpass so we can confidently say we are moving forward, let's look at progress as a circle that gets bigger with every time and effort spent on each level, right? And that whole circle is you. It doesn't matter if you spent 1 or 5 years on a phase. Look at that phase as a part of your development, right? Or maybe we can see progress like this tree. With every endeavor, with every stage of that endeavor, a leaf is added to our tree. It becomes a part of us, much like, for example, exercise, right? It doesn't matter if it took you longer than others to get to that healthy stage, or maybe to get that toned stomach that you like. At the end, you still end up getting healthy, or you still end up getting a toned stomach. It's just that some people got there faster and you later. But the important thing is you got there, right? Right. So sometimes we may feel like we haven't mastered or achieved something of substance in our lives, right? Sometimes we feel that way, but most of us actually did already. We may have already taken for granted or even forgotten this, but we have to learn to crawl before we can learn to walk. And then from there, we learn to run, sprint, skip, jump, and even dance, right? So the basic of that is that we have to learn movement first. And we also had to learn to speak first before we can communicate our thoughts or sing, right? So the basic of that is we have to recognize sounds first. So being able to do these things now, we may say that we have mastered something in our life already. There are many people who were not given this opportunity at all. Those who were born without legs or limbs, and those who were born who cannot speak or cannot articulate their thoughts. So it's something we should not take for granted for, because others don't have this at all. Okay? So talking about the basics, right? This is also why in our study of Buddhism, we always go back to the basics every now and then. If you have joined our lectures more than once, you will notice this too, especially the law of cause and effect. We can't stress it enough. So this is the chart of what we teach. So um, the law of cause and effect, we cannot stress enough the importance of knowing this to heart if you want to pursue the study of Pure Land Buddhism further. So, being the foundation of Buddhism, everything about it is built around this law. So, this is how invaluable the basics are. Without uh, our comprehension on things, without it, our comprehension on things cannot grow or improve, right? So everything else here, kind of wouldn't make so much sense if you don't know the law of cause and effect by heart. Okay. So do you have any questions or clarifications? We have a few minutes left. Or is there anything you would like to say? Oh yes, Kevin just pasted our FB group in the chat. So if you're not a member yet, please join us. Okay, do you have any questions or clarifications with whatever I said? Okay, well, it's okay too if there is none, but if something uh, comes up to you later, then you could just message us in the Facebook page, or we are there. You would see us. You could add us as friends and message us personally too if you like. Oh, thank you so much, Alvin. Thank you so much for your comment. So, if there are no questions, I would like to end tonight's session with I don't think it's particularly bad wanting to acquire many skill sets, even when we are just mediocre in each, even though we don't spend most of our life practicing it. The basic knowledge in things may be the reason we make our lives easier or at least bearable. However, it would be brilliant and could most certainly help us become accomplished if we can concentrate on one thing we are passionate about and master it in the middle of acquiring many average skills. Okay, so that's it for tonight, guys. And always, we are glad you're all here. Let's continue improving ourselves and be masters at that thing we are strongly passionate about. So please stay safe and see you on our next talks. Oh wait, wait. Let me just read these messages. Sorry, I missed it. Rex consider buying industrial heads. Oh yeah, that's for Rex. Mom, where can we read the story? May we have a copy of the recording? Thank you for thank you. Okay, thank you so much, guys. We have a YouTube page. We will upload this talk later. I hope I remember. But yes, we our previous talks are there. So you could find that too in our Facebook page, the YouTube page, I think. So yeah, just please join there. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's it for tonight, guys. I want to help. I want more about Buddhism. Okay, we could talk more, Rex, later. Okay. Okay, so we have less than 1 minute. This call would end soon. So thank you so much, guys, and we're so glad you're here. Thank you. Good night. See you again next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
tuned.